Good afternoon. My name is Chad Leclerc, Park Department, and Chair of the CPC. Before we start, I guess we'll stand and say a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
you're the interim chairman because the chair resigned.
Yes.
So we are going to need a vote of the committee, an actual vote for a chair. Now, I don't know if there's anybody else who's would like to be nominated, but we're still going to need, even if you're the only candidate, we'll need a vote.
Okay. All right, let's just do a quick roll call first then, I guess, and then we can put it to vote. Again, Chad Leclerc, Park Department.
Heidi Pelletier, Conservation Commission.
John Avery, Acushnet River Valley Golf Committee.
Jesse Ellis, Selectmen's appointee.
On Zoom.
Is there members on Zoom?
Kathy Murray.
Anyone else?
Oh, Dan.
All right.
All right, so I guess we'll put to vote interim chair.
5 members, you have a quorum.
All right, perfect. Lisa filled that right out. I guess we'll put that to vote, that I'm the interim chair until,
Now,
that I'm the chair of the CPC.
is there any other
Any other
nominations?
candidates?
Two.
Okay,
So call a vote.
make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thanks, I guess. All right, at this time, I'll pass the floor to you, Jamie, and you got some articles and some
Okay.
information.
I'm James Kelly, I'm the town administrator. I am going to be staffing this meeting. In the future, the town planner might be staffing the meetings. But as we kick off, I thought it was important to sit down with you folks and go over some background before you get to the requests that you've got in front of you today. It's very important that you're meeting today because you have to establish the CPC budget. And that budget will be submitted to the FinCom, Board of Selectmen, and then the town meeting October 17th in the fall. We need the fall town meeting to act on your budget so we can set the tax rate for the town. So I'm very happy we have a quorum and you're all here. I've talked to the interim town accountant, and out of the annual allocation, he's advising 10% be put into administrative, 20% into community housing category, 20% historic preservation, and 20% open space. That comes down to 13,000 in administrative, approximately 26,000 into community housing, 26,000 into historic preservation, 26,000 into open space. That's the floor. As of right now, the prior balance is that you're looking at is 65,512 and change for community housing, $66,917 for historic preservation, $58,083 for open space, and operation balance is $316,019. So the total fund balance, $552,144. Various funds will be moving as you go from one fiscal year to the other, because some fold into the other automatically, others carry forward in the individual categories. The other issue you folks have to deal with coming up in your next meeting is I've got $319,000 in various articles going back to 2008. And we have to go through them and either close them out or make sure that they should continue forward. Besides the requests that are in front of you, there's an annual administrative expenditure of $875. That's your membership dues to the Community Preservation Coalition. So I'm going to be asking for a motion to pay the Community Preservation Coalition dues of $875 in the budget that will be presented to town meeting. So can I get that motion now?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I appreciate that. In addition, the CPC, under a mandate, must develop a community preservation plan. It's a 5-year plan, and hold one public hearing on the plan, which is posted and advertised for 2 weeks. Your spending must comply with that priorities of that plan, and it needs to be updated annually. I am looking for the plan, but that's not unusual right now. Your open space and recreation plan was last updated in 2008, and your community housing plan looks like it was 2019, and that's going to be needing to be updated. The town's master plan also needs to be updated. The CPC categories correspond with about half of the master plan categories. The vision is to have your open space plan correspond to the CPC open space plan, correspond to the master plan open space plan. In fact, the 3 plans can be like triplets. They don't have to be identical, but they can be very close. And that includes the community housing plan and parts of the historic preservation plan of the CPC plan. So, and don't worry, the members of the committee can be involved but don't have to be. The staff will take it up, and I'll address that in one of the issues, one of the requests before you tonight. There is also an issue where one of your articles was overspent, in the past, and so I'm going to, by 4,570, I'm going to be coming to you for a authorization on that funding too, and we'll put in an article to supplement the prior article. So, I think we can go forward with the request before you. We might have to wait a bit for the Buzzards Bay folks. They are coming with a pretty in-depth presentation for you folks.
Okay.
If you, Mr. Chairman, would
Do you have the list?
want to deal with,
Do you want to deal with the ones that are in your name, or do you want to?
yeah, my name first, and
Okay.
we can get those done.
They should be all one. Each one of those is a different one, I think. In the
You
list.
guys got all these?
I do.
I'll need them, please. Thank you.
If you want to take a 3-4 minute recess, you can pass the papers around.
I think we all
If
have.
you're all passing them, then we can go
Yeah.
forward.
I think we're
I
good.
might just grab a pen, if you don't mind.
So you have
I have 2 requests before you. One is a deficit request, the other is really a
administrative. Also.
it's funding from administrative, housing, and open space.
Want to start with that one?
Sure. I'm requesting on behalf of the town $62,000. $12,000 to come from administrative, $25,000 to come from housing, and $25,000 to come from open space. That monies are to be used to draft and update various plans. Number 1 is the CPC plan. Number 2 is the open space recreation plan. Number 3 is a housing plan, and those corresponding parts in the master plan. I will tell the CPC, because I mentioned in the application other funding, I've received 2 grants from the state. One for the master plan for $25,000, and one on, generally it's transportation and the effect of the South Coast Rail. And so we can use those 2 because a major portion of his master plan includes the transportation issues. Then the other 25 can be used for that. I'm looking to, since we need an open space plan, it hasn't been done since 2008, and we need a CPC open space plan that will do all 3 at once for the open space master plan also. And that also includes for housing. So combining it all together, it's $112,000. That'll include surveys of the community. It'll include some 40 hours of Serpide time that they can donate to the community for their work. And we'll put together through the planning department here all of those plans. And I'm asking that you approve that expenditure of $62,000 from the 3 categories.
So it was 112 was the total, the 50,000 in grants, and then so it comes up to 62.
No, it was 12 from administrative, 25 from your housing, 25 from your open space. And then that will also fold into the other 50,000 we're getting from the state.
Yeah.
So that'll be 112.
Okay.
But your concern is the 62.
Okay. Any questions?
No.
Can I get a motion to approve?
So motioned.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved.
5-0. The second is, as we're going through various aspects of town finance, we discovered that in an Article 26 from the town meeting, May of 2021, for the soccer field irrigation project, there was an overrun of $4,570. So I'm asking that the CPC approve the use of those funds from open space recreation. And we will then present an article at town meeting to supplement the prior article. It's an accounting issue, and I do not know why the accountants that are in place now picked it up, but the prior haven't. But we would have come to the town sooner.
Okay. Do we have a motion to accept the overage?
So motioned.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is that 5-0?
Yes, believe
Yep.
so. All opposed? Any opposed? No. Perfect.
The next is a open space request from Park and Rec Commission. The chair is the Park and Rec representative, and I think he can speak to it better than I can.
Sure, I can. So we started requesting some funds last year to redo the basketball courts. I spoke with Dan Murata, the DPW. He gave me a quote on resealing the courts. He did later advise that that could cause cracking and so forth, so it might be better to just remove what's there and redo the whole thing. Fortunately, that only covers it being blacktop, so we would need, we need it painted, we need some line, the hoops are getting old. My thought with the hoops that are there is potentially moving those to the school outdoor basketball court, because they have some, but they're aluminum basketball courts, hoops, so that would be, we could repurpose those. We need some improvements in the bathrooms, we put some things, but it's used a lot by the town. We leave them open as long as we can without them being open to just the public, because then Lord only knows what happens. But they have been overflown, we've had to upgrade the toilets in there and so forth. And then the other biggest thing is our trash barrels. Like, I looked into different ones, but all of ours are open, so they get rain and water, rain, all that. So looking for nicer ones that you can enclose, that they stay locked, that they have a cap on the top. They're about $1,000 a piece for the barrels as well as the whole thing. I'd like to get like 10 throughout the park. That includes the playground up near the veterans area, and then throughout the the courts and baseball fields. So a lot of it's just general improvements. I don't think I had anything else on here. I had requested this last year, but we didn't have a CPC meeting to approve it, so some of the costs have gone up since the original request was made. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, I have installation in here as well of the basketball hoops, and some additional of the dog stations some of those have been broken, or we just need some more, because we have a lot of pets there, and we've so far allow it. We haven't had any incidents, but obviously they get filled up pretty fast. So we want to try to get some more of those as well. So that's what the proposal is for the park department. And that was it ended up being $30,000.
pretty large increase was because the cost of asphalt, et cetera, has jumped like you wouldn't believe.
Sure.
We were talking with DPW, and it's gone up with just in a couple months, $8.
Yeah.
So going from 20 to 30.
Yeah, so that's reflective of the bulk of the difference between the 20 and the 30?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chad, I got a question for you.
Sure.
What are we using outdoor basketball backboards? What are you going with? No bounce?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so it's out of New Bedford?
Yep, yep. I mean, not that I would spend the money on it, but you can customize and stuff. I've looked into volunteers to even, I'd like to, once we do the basketball court, have somebody come. There's a place on the Cape, like the tennis place, but I keep getting stuff in the mail through to the park. Well, they'll paint the lines, but I have somebody that might even be able to do some designs on the court, kind of
Right,
dress it
right.
up and so forth. But trying to get that to be done at no cost, obviously.
All right, what about the garbage situation? What's the possibility of using the trash cans that they pick up our garbage with? I don't know.
Well, they
have
get-
tops on them, and I imagine you could secure them somehow with a lock.
That could be an option to reach out to Dan and see how many of those that we could get, and I mean, it's just a matter of, getting them out to the
Right.
front every week when they come to pick them up
I
and so
know you
forth.
can get a lock and put on them, or should we just gotta drill a hole and lock the things
That's a
up?
possibility also,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right.
I know that they dump, I mean, we have the dumpsters, we dump them quite often, so that's my only concern is how, it's really a matter of getting them. I mean, even the town doesn't have to dump them. If we can get them and put them into the dumpsters, that might be
Yeah,
an alternative. So,
okay.
does that I guess I'll have to look, I'll reach out to Dan, I don't know if that,
Well,
is there
just,
extra involved?
You could vote on this and reach out in the interim, and then when it goes before FinCom, or it goes before the selectmen, you can ask for an amended amount,
Mhm.
and when the article's written, it can reflect the amended amount.
Mhm. Yeah, that might make sense, because I mean, that's the biggest expenditure besides the asphalt that we see here.
Yeah.
So it's reasonable to at least look
And
into.
the way the asphalt's going, it could,
Yeah, the longer we
you
wait.
could
Yeah.
get the cheaper trash cans and still have it eaten
Right.
up
Yeah,
with
just-
the
yeah.
increased costs.
Who knows?
All right, any other questions or concerns?
No,
All right,
no.
can I get a motion?
Yep, so moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. 5. Yep.
Do you need a recess?
Yeah, now would be a good time for me to do so.
Can we have a 5-minute recess?
Of course, yes.
Sure. You're back.
All right, take a 5-minute break. Meeting back in order. We're gonna jump over to the Acushnet Public Schools. And I think we have Dr. Paula Bailey on. Let's see if we-
Good evening, thank you for having us. And I also have Angie Riveri with me. She's the Director of Curriculum, Instruction and Assessment. And as you know, we submitted an application for a recreational rehabilitation project, which would include upgrades to the outdoor tennis and basketball courts, which are located on the property at the school district. We get a lot of complaints from community members about the condition, and I believe those are original to the school. And also, as part of this recreational rehab project, we wanted to add additional bleachers in the FMS, the middle school gymnasium. Right now, there's only a capacity for about 50 people. The bleachers are extremely old. They were donated from the sheriff's office years ago. That was my understanding. We've had a couple of kids get hurt on them because of the metal that sticks out. We have to keep banging it in. They're just old wooden bleachers. In addition to the school that utilizes it, we have the basketball teams that are in there, and many people have to stand to watch the games because there is not ample seating in the gym. So with those two projects, we would be looking for $125,000. And this is all part of a Greenscape project that we obtained some ESSER money from. We found that during COVID, everybody really liked using the outdoor classrooms that the Boy Scouts built for us, but we only have 2 of them and they're constantly being utilized, and we really wanted to build a pavilion. So we did obtain some money for that. We don't have full funding for that yet, but as part of the Greenscape, this would be included the rehab to the tennis and basketball courts, and we will continue with the design for the pavilion, which is a separate project right now. Angie, I don't know if you want to, the bleachers would also include 3 portable sections. So we would actually go from 2 small sections to a complete wall of bleachers, and 3 portable sections that we can move around when we have assemblies. And the community is in there quite a bit, utilizing our gymnasium. We're actually planning to do the floor at Thanksgiving time. We haven't done it in many years, so we thought it would be a good time to get those bleachers completed. And as far as the tennis and the basketball, we'd like to have this all done by the end of next summer. I don't know if Angie, if you want to add anything, or no? Do you have any questions?
I got one. Before you put the, redo the floors, I would suggest that you do the floors before you put the bleachers in?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Just
Yeah,
curious.
the bleachers would go in after the
Floor's
floors.
been done.
And actually, we're looking at doing the floors, sanding it right down, to wood, and then actually repainting the lines. It hasn't been done. And the condition of the gym floors are in very bad condition because during COVID, we had to store a lot of furniture and such during that time when the kids were remote.
Yeah.
So we're basically back up and running right now. And we've had a lot of activities in the gymnasium, and we always find seating is an issue, not to mention that the existing bleachers is a safety issue. And then, members of the community are constantly complaining about the condition of the outside courts. We've done our best with them to keep them up as best we can, but they're very old. We also have some painting on there for some sensory activities for the children. We'd like to have that redone as well, but that's all part of the $125,000 request.
Is this upgrading the bleachers in both schools or just Ford Middle?
It's just Ford Middle School right now.
But the floors are both floors? Ford
No.
and,
Just for
The floors right now, the ones that we're looking at having redone would be at Ford Middle School.
It must be some slippery, huh?
well, the ones that, so just playing basketball there, I found the ones at the gym at Ford is in better condition than the one at the elementary. Like that one's like an ice skating rink. I didn't know if that would be something to consider ahead of, I mean, it looks better, it's clear, it's a better paint job and so forth, and it's glossy, but
Yeah.
we can't keep that thing from being slippery, so.
I know I recently met with the basketball,
Yeah,
the head of the
Scott.
basketball
Yes.
association, and he did complain about floors.
Yeah.
And, I have a business manager who has experience with maintenance and operation of floors and such, and he also agreed that they were in terrible shape, especially for safety, when you have all these kids on there playing sports and such. So we are taking a hard look at that to make sure that, we have those done. And then obviously we'd like seating to go in the gym so that it's more appropriate.
Yeah.
I think I would just add that, as you know, we don't have an auditorium at the middle
Right.
school. So when we bring the student body in or families, large groups, that's not really, about 50 people can sit, which is for us a quarter of the population of the school, or an eighth of the population of the school. So when we have events, it'd be nice to be able to see at least one grade level, if not more, with the additional bleachers.
That being said, I mean, are there Are there concerns with the soon to be hopefully newly resurfaced floors seeing excess wear and tear because of moving in and out seating for larger groups than the gym is meant to accommodate? I hate to see the floors get redone and then get wrecked because seating is getting moved in and out constantly and, yeah.
No, the bleachers, actually, the majority of the bleachers would be against one wall, with the same wall
Mhm.
that the existing two bleachers are already located on. Except there's two very small portions on that wall. Now it would be the entire wall. We would go from possibly 3 rows to 4 rows.
Mhm.
And then we would have portable bleachers. When we needed, we could store it in the closet at the very end of the gym when it's not a sports game, but more of an assembly. But, you know, obviously, I know the goal is to take care of those floors.
Yeah.
I mean, we use them for phys ed every day when school is in session. And I just know that it's been an issue since COVID, especially.
The tennis courts, you're looking to just resurface, put new nets, or what's the plan with the tennis courts? The upgrade
We
there?
would be looking to resurface and new nets, and same with the basketball courts. Resurface, new hoops, new backboards. And they're looking at, Angie, do you know the material that we had looked at? Is it synthetic? It's
I can try to look it up.
a little bit different than asphalt.
Rubber.
Putting that on, and we had some people in the community who are really interested in being on a committee for that because they feel really strongly that they come over, especially the neighbors back in Reservoir area tend to utilize those courts quite a bit. So we are looking at really, you know, something we can be proud of in the community.
Yeah, it definitely needs an upgrade. I was just wondering too, like, with us taking the hoops down at the park, if we can reutilize the ones that are there, which they're in decent shape, much better than the ones at the school. I know those are, like I said, old aluminum hoops, but I just don't know if they're even reusable or not to help save a little bit of money, but I would love to see that redone. But you said that was something end of summer that you were looking at, the outdoor part of it?
The outdoor part of it, we would want finished by the end of the summer. But, I mean, we'd want the whole thing done within a year,
Yeah.
you know.
Just wondering budget time
And
if we just.
bleachers could easily be done over a vacation.
Mhm.
And the courts, you know, we'd have to schedule that and see when we can get a company in.
Dr. Bailey, is 125 any part of it? Is there a necessity for a town match with the ESSER grant? And is that any part of it?
I'm going to have Mr. Giori speak about the ESSER grant because we were given funding for our Greenscape project, which started with the pavilion idea of having a big outdoor classroom that can house a whole grade level, which is, we're talking over between 100 and 125 people in this covered area. We have a need for it, but I'm going to let her speak about the grant and the money that we did get for that. You're on mute, Angie. And again, with the ESSER money, it does have to be related. You have to relate why you want something to COVID.
Yes, but my question is, do you need a town match? And are we going to be using the CPC money in the town match? And how quickly do you need it if the grant is an ESSER grant?
I don't believe we need the town match necessarily, but go ahead,
Okay.
Angie.
No, we don't need a town match, but we were approved $104,000 through the ESSER grant. And the $104,000 is really more like a start for such a big project. It's not going to cover the entire project. So what we need to do is find funding from some other source. If we're going to do the basketball courts, the tennis courts, and pavilion, and some green space. Those, as you probably know, areas get a lot of usage from the neighborhoods. And so what we kind of are looking to do is to create a space not only for the schools, but for the community to use there. And we felt like, at least for the schools, from the school's perspective, we're 2 schools on this one campus, but we were looking to have something that kind of ties the 2 buildings together in a way, and it wouldn't connect to both of the buildings, but just kind of like unify the campus and make it like a more usable outdoor space that both buildings would be able to use, as well as, people in the community. And so what we want to do is really get a nice design going for that. So, and eventually we want to look at the playground as well. That's further down the road, because we know that all of this is a lot. But looking to just kind of create a really nice, well-designed, usable space that looks visually appealing, but that is also functional for many different uses and needs. And the $104,000 that we secured can be applied to, what was written in there was the pavilion. Also, funding could go toward the courts, the sports courts. And potentially, I think we might also have written in there some of the playground equipment, but $104,000 is not going to do all of that. So what we're kind of trying to do is prioritize and figure out, what are the things that we can do now? We're not going to move those sports courts, right? Those are there, those are going to stay there. So maybe work on getting the things done that we could kind of tackle that people, seem to be requesting and are of the most need first. And then slowly add in the other elements.
So looking over the proposal, I see on here that we have the tennis court resurface, new nets, potentially some additional painted games, basketball courts, resurface, new rims and backboards, and then the bleachers project. I don't see anything on this proposal about the floors or anything related to the outdoor pavilion. Is there a separate item?
No, that's not part of the request.
Okay. So the request before us, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So the request before us is for $125,000 and strictly related to those 3 line items, the tennis courts, basketball courts, and bleachers?
Correct.
Okay.
Have we given any consideration to maybe a fence around the basketball court? I know there's a partial one, but if you're putting on like a nice asphalt that's going to, like there is pretty easy access for cars, and I've known in the past soccer fields, there was an incident one day where somebody tore up the soccer fields and so forth. Like it's a lot of money to put into a basketball court, make it look great, and then somebody ruin it. So I didn't know if that was a consideration.
We did actually bring that up. That's a really good point. We looked at the existing fencing, and we know that fencing is really expensive. So we kind of wanted to get the courts accomplished and completed first, and then figure out what we should do about fencing, if we can let it go for another year or so until we raise more money. But I don't know if the fencing is something that we didn't price out fencing.
Okay, sure. This is, somewhat unrelated question, but if we're talking about enhancing all of these facilities, is there a plan for getting rid of the shipping containers that are right next to the courts?
We would love to. Right now, we have a major storage issue at the schools.
Yeah.
We had to take out much of our furniture out of our classrooms during COVID because the kids had to socially distance, etc. And we actually lost a lot of furniture because of the mold and it being in there for so long.
Sure.
I believe we did get rid of one already. But we're having a space issue right now, and we are trying to figure out how, for example, we just redid the library at the elementary school, and with that, there were like maybe 9 or 10 or 12 very large tables that they did not want. They're still good tables. We're going to have to declare them surplus, but we need a place to put them.
Sure.
And one thing with our schools is we don't have a lot of good storage space for extra furniture and things like that. So we're really trying to encourage teachers not to get rid of things, to keep what they have, but the reality is there's always something that, like this library project that we did this summer, we have new carpeting, the whole place was painted. It's just a brand new space, and it's going to become usable space, and it wasn't usable space before. And we actually have a position, library media specialist in that job, and it's being designed with function in mind. And we had these large bulky tables. That's just one example. The middle school has absolutely no storage areas right now for similar ideas, and we can't just throw things away. There's a process by which we have to declare things surplus, and it has to go through, that chain. So the reason why those containers are there is for storage purposes. We don't like them. We don't like how they look, but we do have to resolve what's in there, and it's been an ongoing issue that I am working on with our facilities director.
Okay, fair enough. Obviously not related to the budget at hand, but I mean, if we're gonna spend a bunch of money enhancing these outdoor facilities, it would be great to at least relocate them, if we can. I mean, obviously don't get rid of them, storage space is an issue, but yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
But if we could just go back to the fence question for a minute, I do think that's a really good point, and we did discuss that, and I mean, we know there's only so many funds that are available, but we do think that that probably is going to be a need in the future. So whether that comes in a future application or a funding source, from some other place.
And there's a partial.
Ask for everything, because we feel like, we know that other people ask for funding as well in the community. We feel that schools are a really important part of the community, and we're trying to beautify and get some usable space, recreational space for our community and for our school, but obviously we didn't want to overwhelm you with our request.
Sure.
And there's a partial fence around the basketball court towards the school, correct? It's like the taller one.
The backside of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's also a fence around the tennis court right now, and I did have my facilities director look at that when we had talked about it, and he said we could get away with keeping it right now. There are sections of it that aren't great, but for now, we would be okay, knowing how expensive fencing is.
Great.
Mr. Kelly?
Dr. Bailey, how far are you along on the procurement process as far as these cost estimates go? Did you, being a round figure of 125,000, are you looking for approval of the amount, and then, or have you got cost estimates of the bleachers and
The bleachers came to 25,000, and the basketball and tennis courts would be 75,000. But I believe we would have to get some additional quotes.
Because when it leaves this committee and goes to the FinCom, they'll be asking.
Yeah, we have one quote to estimate what the cost would be for the purposes of writing grants, but we have not gone through the procurement process.
All right.
Okay. And then just based on the time frame, if we're looking to get the floor done, which I know the money's coming from another source for the floor, and you said maybe Thanksgiving week, if that works out?
That's questionable right now. We're still working with the basketball association on that, but that was the last discussion I had with my interim business manager.
Okay, so we're talking.
That was a real strong need right now to have that basketball floor,
Sure.
gymnasium floor done at the middle school,
Sure.
based on the safety of the students who are playing on that floor.
So we're probably talking probably after the turn of the year for the actual bleacher installation then, I would imagine. Most likely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just
That would be
putting
good.
timelines into mind. Yep.
Dr. Bailey, I have a question.
Yes.
Due to the popularity of, I mean, you guys are gonna redo the tennis courts, correct? I would make a suggestion that inside those tennis courts, you maybe put a pickleball court, which is very popular.
Yeah.
You can do 2 in 1, I know it's done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So all it means is painting extra lines.
yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful, and
Yeah.
I've been reading a lot
Yeah, it's,
about the pickleball courts in Fairhaven,
Right.
the
Yeah.
indoor and outdoor
right.
courts, and especially if we can do it within the same court, I think that's perfect.
That's a great suggestion.
I'm almost sure you can. I think if you go down to Fort Phoenix, they have tennis courts that they converted.
Yeah.
And they can play both.
Yep,
That's cool.
And, you know, that's something that, you know, if this gets approved, I have no problem going to Fairhaven, checking things out, seeing who they utilize, et cetera. I'm hearing wonderful things about the pickleball courts
yeah.
in Fairhaven.
Yeah, and to your point, the cost to do it at the same time would be negligible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just,
That makes sense.
I believe it's just
Right,
painting
I mean,
lines.
we had talked about, that as well as putting some other like sensory type games on the side also. They do a lot of like additional games on the side of these courts nowadays.
Sure.
But we had some members of the community reach out and they actually wanted us to kind of start like maybe a little committee to get community feedback on how to,
Sure.
you know,
It's a good idea.
to
It's
make
a good
this
idea.
work for everybody. So I love that, the pickleball idea.
Yep.
And I agree, yeah.
As far as budget, Ms. Kelly, is it something that we could look into splitting the immediate needs, and then if they're not doing it till the end of the summer, some of the outdoor needs to the Springtown meeting? If that's something that we need to look into based on, like you said, finding some of that money that's there from the past that we have to utilize, or is this something that we think we can go forward with as a whole? I'm just basing it on the same timeline, like,
Yeah.
you know, doing the floor, that's got a grant for some of that. The bleachers would be nice to get in as soon as they can get them in, but if we're gonna do this over the summer and so forth, for the rest, if we can approve it in the spring for that outdoor part, I don't know if that's worth it or not.
Especially seeing how much costs can change just over the course of a few months.
Right.
I'd hate to see us approve some funding and then somebody come back, you know, beginning of next, you know, in the spring meeting and say, hey, we need, you know, X amount more money to bring the project to completion. So,
Maybe we can look into
The
that.
the only
too.
thing I would bring up is, with the way that the workforce is going, I find that we have to schedule things in advance.
Sure.
I know like with our roof project, this was supposed to be done a year ago, but because of getting the materials and supplies, there was a supply shortage. We had to wait an extra year. I don't know if the same holds true for a project such as the outdoor courts. I have no idea how long those types of things need to be scheduled in advance. I don't know.
I could tell you basketball, just the painting of it and installation of basketball hoops was probably 3 months. I know, and that was now, like you said, who knows, come next year,
Yeah.
if it's more or less, but it was about 3 months when I looked into a quote for that.
okay.
As far as inside basketball, I'd be, you know, basketball's coming up in November, so,
Yeah,
you know, these companies, most of them, from past experiences, do most of their stuff in the summer. So you might have a little more availability with those people getting it done when you want to get it done in November.
Right now, prior to this request, you have spent $59,570 out of the open space category, and the open space category is 84,083 total, so you're looking at about 24,000 left in open space category. Yes, you could go to the undesignated category where you have about 300,000 there if you wanted to authorize this expenditure.
Yeah. Seems like a justifiable expense to me.
yeah. I like the outdoor, doing the outdoors. I mean, the fields in the back with the soccer fields are looking nice, the playground eventually being upgraded.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of complaints about it too, because from the park, they call us and, do we have an open basketball court? The one at the school, they were replacing a hoop. It took a little while, and so I know it does get used too, so.
Sure.
All right, do I have a motion then to accept the requested amount of $125?
Motion.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Fifth vote?
Is she on there somewhere?
She's in the back. Kathy? Yeah,
No.
you're muted, sorry, we can't hear you.
She raised her hand.
If you raised your hand, you're good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Are you the Buzzards Bay representative?
I am.
If you want to,
What do we got?
we're still in the open space area then. Sorry, Polly, we were jumping, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
if you want to present,
Let me just-
you want me
Right
to
here?
move this? Or you can do
I'm happy to
it.
sit here.
All-
Yeah.
all
Is
of
that
this.
okay?
That's fine.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, how you doing?
Thank you. Just go?
Yeah, I got it.
All right. My name's Mark Rasmussen. I'm with Buzzards Bay Coalition. We're here with a proposal. I think most of you know us in Acushnet for the Sawmill, the Hamlin Crossing, a number of properties we manage. So we have a 77-acre proposal in front of you today. It's part of a 240-acre project, which is actually involves 5 towns. So part of what I wanted to describe is how this proposal is here. It's important to Acushnet, but it's actually part of a bigger effort, mostly around drinking water supply protection. So it's 240 acres, like I said. It's hangs into Mattapoisett. 77 acres of it hangs into Acushnet. It's accessed from Tinkham Pond and from Long Plain Road in Mattapoisett, and then its closest road in Acushnet is over Mendel Road. So that southeast corner of town, think of it as the Tinkham Pond area.
Sure.
So the deal came together with Fairhaven, Marion, Mattapoisett, and Rochester's drinking water supply, because this corner of Acushnet is part of the drinking water contribution area to all those 4 towns. And so this property, which is Red Barn Farm, which you can see on Long Plain Road if you drive north on Long Plain from Mattapoisett, just before you get into Rochester, there's a really cool complex of red brick buildings. It's owned by the Mahoney family. They had the 240 acres. It's all there. So getting that under protection has been a long time priority for all those towns. And again, the back of that property hangs into Acushnet. So drinking water supply protection, number 1. Second is Tinkham Pond. So Tinkham Pond's, I think, one of the coolest natural resources Acushnet has. And most of the watershed for Tinkham Pond is still undeveloped, unprotected as open space, and has 2 streams. This property includes nearly the entire remaining watershed to Tinkham Ponds. So you're really doing a lot to protect the pond's water quality and the pond's wildlife habitat. And then third, all of the property will be open to the public, if we succeed in buying it, I should say. The way the project is envisioned, it'll all be open to the public. We maintain all the trails now at what we call the Mattapoisett River Reserve, which you've been down there. It's the parking lot at Tinkham Pond, it's the parking lot over at the Bogs on Acushnet Road, and now a new parking lot that's just south of Red Brick Farm, up by north of Howard Tinkham's land, if you know that spot. We have a number of trailheads. I'm excited about being able to eventually put a trailhead in Acushnet too, so it's another point of entry. All in, it's almost a 1,000-acre area now that's full of miles of walking trails. It's open to hunting. There's a lot of wildlife habitat values, all of that. So that's the project. It is a very expensive project. So it's a $6,025,000 budget. That nearly all, $6 million of that all goes into the acquisition. And as a partnership between the 4 towns, we've been able to apply for a major state grant, which we're expecting decision on any day now. So $4.5 million of the project would be covered by a state grant. $1 million, we're privately fundraising for $1 million. And then looking to have and this is really important to the state grant, all the affected towns, the 5 towns, including Acushnet, contribute a portion of the remainder. So we're requesting $85,000 from each of the principal towns involved. So we'll be doing this at CPAs in Fairhaven, Marion, Mattapoisett, $35,000 in Rochester. The project barely involves Rochester, it's just a tiny little piece. So they wanted to be a part of it. So all in, it ends up being $375,000 from all the towns. The River Valley District Water Supply has already contributed $150,000 to the project. So we're trying to piece it all together. And the Acushnet piece of $85,000 is important as part of regional effort. It's important, I think, because it actually pulls the project into town and brings all these benefits into Acushnet as well. So last thing I guess I'd say is the structure at the end of the deal would be, we would own and manage the land. It would be open, like I said, open to the public for everybody, with trails. The town would hold a conservation restriction on us, together with the other towns, making sure that the land was never developed and that we lived up to our promise to keep it open to the public. So there's no ongoing town costs. I think that's the key point I wanted to say there. It's not as if you're buying into something that every year is going to be on the town budget for maintenance. The maintenance is on us. The selectmen were wonderful about submitting a letter of support. We did the state grant, so the selectmen have supported the project. They didn't support a CPA application yet. We're hoping to get their support for that, but they did support the state grant. So it's already been before the town of Acushnet in one way. So that's the project in a nutshell.
Okay. Excuse me. So how much, do you know roughly how much parking would be available to Acushnet residents at the access site?
So that parking will stay down, even for all the towns, will stay down at the Tinkham Lane
Okay.
site. There's a little bit room for expansion there, but we had not included that as a project cost.
Okay.
Yeah.
The trails are already, Acushnet trails are already established?
There's some, because there used to be a lot of logging in there, so there's a nice network of logging roads.
Okay.
But the access right now, so it links all these different properties. So the access is just to the right, to the east of Tinkham Pond. There's
Right,
a
yeah.
trail through the field there going to the north. That then will hook into Acushnet and right and come back out at Long Plain. So it will not take us much work.
And that will be maintained by you guys?
Maintained by us.
So we won't have to do
Anything.
zero?
Sure.
Same.
Okay, all right.
And we would expect something probably similar to your point, the sawmill.
Exactly.
So-
Yep.
Okay.
In a lot of ways, like the sawmill, so near the entrance, there's
Yeah.
parking, it's more
Sure.
accessible for all ages, and as you get deeper into the wilderness there, it becomes a little bit more wild.
Sure.
So it's different grades of access.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking for the Conservation Commission, we've worked a lot of projects with you over the years and you do a wonderful job and really glad to work with you again.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Kelly, this would fall into open space? So it would come out of the same pot as the last,
Well, you're beyond the.
beyond that, yeah.
It'll come out of the undesignated but as far as open space project, this would put the total at 269,570 for all the open space projects.
And what was the budget designated to that?
The open space originally was 84,000, but you've got an undesignated close to 300,000.
Okay. Okay, and from the last item, I believe that we had about 35,000, somewhere around there, left in open space before we dip into undesignated? Okay, so we're looking for about 50,000 in undesignated as well as the remainder of the open space budget.
No, that was before you spent the money for the school.
Oh, okay, my mistake. Okay, so we're
You
all
jumped-
into
You're about
undesignated at this point.
You're about
Okay.
100,000 in
Okay.
undesignated.
Okay,
And this is June 23.
And that's your wallet as well as this year.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, this year it's 130,000. And if you approve this, you're at 280. So you're 150,000
Mhm.
above this year's estimate. And that's an estimate.
Sure.
It can be higher.
Mhm. And to Chad's point just a moment ago, the estimated completion is projected for June of next year?
Yeah, it's not so urgent. So the
Mhm.
state grant expires end of June. If we get the key state grant,
Mhm.
it will expire at the end of June 23. So really, almost nothing will happen almost right to that moment. So it's not as if we have spending in November, December.
Okay.
It'll, yeah.
So we could
So it could
postpone
be
this
tabled
to the
this
spring
When's the
town
board
meeting.
May?
So long as it would mean that the funding would be available before June 30. We have to
When's
use
the
the
spring
same
meeting?
fiscal year.
Do we know? May?
It's usually, April, May, right, for the spring meeting?
Well, it'll be early May for the spring town meeting.
Yeah.
So it'll go through the approval process with you FinCom and town meet, and selected, and then go to town meeting.
It seems to me like that might be cutting it kind of close to hit their June deadline for using that grant money. So, I mean, while it's not an urgent project, it seems like something we might need to tackle sooner than that.
Well,
Yeah.
But once it's approved at town meeting, it can be used pretty much immediately at that point?
I believe so. I'd have to check. I don't think it needs an Attorney General approval, but
Mhm.
I'd have to check with the clerk, but.
Mm.
Can I ask a question? If it's the same fiscal, if it's, this time meeting, this one's spending on the same fiscal year anyway, there's no additional money that's comes later, is there? We're still working off the same pot, is that right?
CPC money,
Yeah.
yes.
It'd be the same pool of money whether you voted it now or later.
We just know whether it was the 130 estimate or whether it's 190.
I see what you're saying.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
And it's still gonna have to go before the fall town meeting, which will be an article there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would just as soon move forward with it now, and we just won't have as much money to work with. I get the feeling it's probably gonna be something that we end up, I mean, moving forward with anyway. It seems like a good project, in my opinion. So I would just as soon get the ball rolling now, that way we're not in a time crunch, because, you know, who knows what could happen.
Any other questions? No. All right, do I have a motion?
So motioned.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we have 5?
We do.
We do, yes.
Thank you all. Yep,
Thank you, Mark.
Yep, okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
check it out.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Excuse me, Chairperson?
Yes.
I do have to leave this meeting, but I wanted to thank you for your support, for for supporting the schools in our request.
Looks like it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you for all your work,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Bailey.
You're welcome, Doc.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, historical.
All right.
I don't think
We don't have any
got
paperwork
one
on
for
it. I
historical.
didn't either.
Maybe pass it down.
Did you have one?
They have the cover like this.
Oh, okay, this guy right here.
Oh.
We all got one.
Come on down, Sully.
This is all this.
That's okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Take care, Mark.
Oh, yes, okay. I got you.
Storm windows for Long Plain Museum, is that what
Oh,
we're
so I
looking
got,
at?
is it, all these are different ones? That's
Yep,
what it is?
yeah.
Okay, got you.
Oh,
Yeah, that's why I was a little.
There's-
Oh, they're all different?
Yeah, there's
Yep,
four.
there's 4 different ones. They total 50,812.
Oh, which one I got?
Yes, those are all yours.
thank you.
Oh, what is that, I guess?
What's this one?
All right.
Nine.
Oh, I think it's- Just take it one step at a time. All right, which one do we want to start with here? What do we have?
The museum roof?
Museum or church?
Long Plain Museum patio roof.
Replace patio roof at Long Plain Museum. All right, third time is the charm.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Identify yourself, Paul.
Pauline,
Everybody knows you.
not everybody. Pauline Texera, I'm chairperson of the Historical Commission.
Hi, Paul. Nice to meet you.
Hi. I'm also on the Historical Society that runs the museum. Okay. The patio roof, if you're familiar with the Long Plain Museum, that is in the back part of the building where we sell the cobblers and chocolates
Sure.
for Apple Peach.
Sure.
Okay? That roof is in dire need of being replaced. I did get one bid for $3,800 for the roof on that patio area. It is in very poor condition. As you know, that is the area where we sell our apple and peach cobblers and peach shortcakes. Our historic museum is getting up there in age, and something is always letting go. We are constantly making repairs as we go along. The Long Clay Museum is a wonderful building and needs a lot of love and care. Okay, so the Historical Commission is asking for the funds to replace this roof.
And Mr. Kelly, this falls under the historic umbrella.
The historic preservation.
And what's the budget look like on that?
92?
This year, accounting was recommending 26,000. The total budget, prior balance plus that, is 92,917.
92,917.
Right.
Okay. Okay. And how many bids have you gotten on this
I
project?
just have one bid,
Just
because it
one?
was at the last minute we
Sure,
realized that it's gone.
sure. What's the projected time frame for completion?
I mean, we'd like to see it done before Apple Beach, which is impossible, because it's only a couple of weeks
Yeah,
away.
yeah.
But,
So before next year's Apple.
yeah, before,
Okay,
or even before the winter would be good.
sure. Yeah, before the winter's reasonable.
And the next one.
Any other questions on the roof? Want to just tackle them all at once?
What are
What do you
the
want?
separate votes?
We'll do one at a time.
One at a time? Okay.
I mean, I don't have any other questions really.
I got a, Jamie, I have a question. $3,800, you don't need to go 3 bids, it's because it's under 5, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, will these guys,
They're good.
yeah, I know who they are.
I know the family, yes.
I do too.
They're very good.
I think if you step on them, you might get it done a little quicker.
No, I don't know
I'm
about that.
sure I can work on Seth.
Yeah, oh, there you go.
Okay, the next one.
I don't think I'm-
We'll
Yeah,
put that to
first.
vote. Any other questions, Kathy? Good. Okay. Do I have a motion?
So
I'll make a motion.
Yeah.
All right. All right. All in favor? $3,800 to historical?
5-0.
What's
Yeah.
that? Yes.
Okay, the next one is the fence. This would be the fence on the north side of the building, between the building and the neighbor next door. That fence is in really dire need of being replaced. A good section of it, maybe 40 or 50 feet, was removed years ago for the Apple Peach Festival by the committee.
Yep.
But they can no longer use the parcel on the other side. So we need the whole fence from the street right back to the stone wall. We need that whole thing replaced. I did get one estimate, and that was from Southeast Fence and Supply. Actually, I couldn't even get a second estimate. Nobody wanted to come out to look at it to give an estimate.
Mhm.
So I ended up with one. Yep. And this estimate here is for $9,720.16. And I believe it,
Which one of the materials?
chain link fence. I believe it includes the gate, yes.
And this fence is just basically a straight shot from the road to the back end of the
Straight
property,
shot,
right?
yes, yes. The only thing, when Southeast came out there to look at it, they recommended if we could have our DPW
Mhm.
pull out the old fence, because of course the posts are cemented in,
Sure.
and there's a lot of trees and
Mhm.
overhanging. So they requested that the DPW from Acushnet would do the pulling out of the post and the fence, the old one.
Mhm. At what point does a project require multiple quotes? I guess I don't know what the dollar cutoff is. Do we know?
It's 5,000, right?
5,000.
10.
5,000.
Is it 5 or 10?
10.
10.
Oh, it's 10. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So we're just under, but we're getting real close.
Yeah,
So if the
but-
cost
but
goes over,
it's good business practice.
yeah.
We'll have
Yeah,
to, even if we call 3 people
Yeah,
and 2 people don't reply,
Oh, that's good?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
as long as we contact them.
Yeah.
All right.
Which it sounds like already has been done too, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
I did.
Just a matter of
Okay.
putting it down.
Sure.
What's the timeline on this project? Only because we are so close to that 10,000?
I mean, as soon as possible, if we could. I don't know if it's feasible to have it done before winter sets in.
October 17 is town meeting, wouldn't be until after that, and then you've got DPW schedule, if they're gonna do the rip out, you've gotta find out from Dan Menard,
Mm.
so probably won't be done till the spring.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that would be my guess.
And I hope we can keep the price down,
Yeah, that was
because that's the other thing, the price
Yeah.
change. yeah.
inched up from the first one I had gotten.
Yeah, I know the cost
Everything is
of,
going up.
yeah, I mean, I just got a quote for metal fencing at my place, and the cost
Mhm.
went up substantially in the last 6 months, so.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
All right, any other questions or concerns?
How would, how would the cost for removal be allocated? Obviously, that doesn't come out of our budget, but if we're gonna have the DPW do it, then there's some approval
They'd have
process
to
for
do it,
that.
and we'd have to get an agreement with them and fit it in the schedule, that's what I'm
Mhm.
looking at.
Yeah.
This might not get done until next summer.
Yeah, yeah, that's my thought as well.
You can use that, can we use that fence and repurpose it for
And
basketball
then,
court?
and then you're gonna have then you'd have the article holding over and going into the next fiscal year.
Mhm.
Uh, The only reason for Pauline needing it now would be if she was locking in the price.
Mhm.
But then, if they don't deliver it,
Yeah, I mean, it could get changed, who knows what it'll look like.
Could go down, you never know.
Could, it's true.
Is that something we want to table then? That amount? I mean, the roof obviously is a necessity on the,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
it's
is the
not
fence
so-
a necessity? Is it something we want to wait, hope the prices come down? Get on the DPW schedule?
I think it needs to be done,
I think that would be the best thing, wait for get an answer from the DPW so this company isn't held up.
Because they can do the removal at any time, it's the fence, then after
It
that, then you
depends
schedule
upon
the
their
installation, like when they can
availability.
schedule it, and then once that's
I think
done.
it depends on their availability, like
Yeah.
James said, you know, and then go from there. Unfortunately, you know, I don't know if you can get a tie-in from this company saying, here, this is what we're gonna give you,
Mhm.
but we don't need it done until
Mhm.
such and such
Yeah, I
a
don't know
time.
if they do that.
I don't know if they,
yeah.
Gentlemen,
I guess my only other concern would be, obviously, if, you know, you can't get anybody to come out and look, you can't get anybody to come out and look, but I do think that, I know that there is, I mean, heck, I could get you the name of the company that came and did mine, they're from Kingston area, they just started doing work down here again, but suffice it to say, I think that a secondary quote might not be a bad idea, especially where we're running up on the $10,000. I agree that it's something that it needs to be done, but it seems like there's a lot of moving parts in play with this one.
Yeah. I agree. All right, does anybody want to make a motion? We're going to table it till at least the spring at this point and get some additional information?
yeah,
Yeah, I think that
because
seems
it's
reasonable.
324 feet of fence. On the straight end.
Yeah.
124?
so the vote is to table.
Yeah, we'll table that till the spring at least and revisit it again.
Yeah, I guess my big concern mostly is the labor cost. It's quite high, more than materials,
More
which
than
is really
materials,
saying something,
probably.
especially for a straight shot fence. It's,
Yeah.
I think a second quote might not be a bad idea. Yeah.
All right, so I guess we can just put it to vote then. All in favor of tabling this till the, at least the spring meeting? Okay, all right.
Yeah, yeah, aye.
You'll probably need a meeting before the spring
Yeah, sure.
because of what we're doing with
Right.
Sure.
a number of the other issues and the articles.
Mhm.
And you're gonna have to have a public meeting on the plan,
Mhm.
CPC plan.
Sure. So, at least until the next meeting then.
Yeah.
And if you guys can button down some of the details with DPW and get another quote, that would be great.
The windows of the Long Plain Museum are continuation. True, Pauline?
Okay, want to jump to that one then?
Yes.
Sure.
All right.
And actually, the cost has gone up a little bit on the windows, because from the first time I got an estimate. So right now, it's at 23,100, but there's a total of 49 windows in that building. Okay, and the stone windows that are there are in poor condition, and the inside window is the original window with the building,
Right.
and that's 1875. So, yeah, the, you know, the whole building really needs the windows. The framing is not in too bad a condition. There may be some window sills that need repairing, which he's got in there. So there's a total of 49 windows in the in the total building. The project would include the removal of the old windows, disposing, sanding, scraping, and prepping the window openings for the new stone windows. So we include everything in there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, this strikes me as a pretty important project, right in line with the pavilion, or the roof and back.
And it would help save the oil, because that building runs on oil.
Yeah, yeah, it's
And we keep
expensive to
the
heat.
temperature very low, because in the wintertime, we really don't use it a lot.
Sure.
So I keep the temperature very low.
Have you gotten any additional quotes on this one?
No, I've got just that one quote.
Okay. Yeah, I think important
We've
project.
had quotes in the past.
We have, okay. Do you know if they're, well, I mean, it's in the past, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It
but
doesn't matter what
Paulie's
costs are
been
different
working
now.
on this for a while.
Sometime
Yes,
now.
I have.
Yeah.
Polly, is there a timeline for this?
The windows, as soon as we could get them in, when we can get them in.
Yeah.
If it has to go to next year, it does.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know?
It'll be, October will be the, the first approval of the money.
Mm-hmm,
Mhm.
And then it would be whenever they can schedule it.
yeah.
I believe you're gonna have a issue with delivery and made windows that are like made because they're so old. So whatever your timeline is, I would extend it.
Double it.
That's true,
What's that?
they're probably odd sizes windows.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going
They're
back in the
windows.
1800s, so it's not nothing like,
Yeah, well, it's, the issue is getting them ordered.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once you get them ordered, I mean,
It could be a 6
I
month
know
lead time.
for certain supplies, we're looking, major supplies, admittedly, big
Mhm.
issues.
Mm.
We're looking at ordering now to get them in 2024.
Oh, good.
Wow. Goodness me. All right.
Well, yeah.
But at least they're paid for though in this case, I mean, right, so you're paying whatever you order them for.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, they're not going to order, they're not going to accept the order unless they know there's been an appropriation.
Right.
Sure. Sure.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the windows? All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so moved, that's 5 votes. Historical preservation is 23.
Yeah, so we were at, some numbers here.
I got these.
The last one is the Perry Hill Church.
Yeah.
This one kind of looks scary. It's not as scary as it looks, because on this one here, I did get one quote, and this had to be done in a hurry because we were running out of time. What has to be done is the flooring has to be all reinforced underneath.
Mhm.
There is only a crawl space at the church. So no one can go into the, well, there's not enough room. So what has to be done is the floor on the interior has to be lifted and opened up throughout the church, which means the pews all have to be unattached from the floor and taken out and stored.
Yeah.
So the whole thing would be open inside so that they can lift the floor to be able to get underneath. It's quite a process. I got the estimate from DeRoche Brothers explaining exactly what has to be done, the removal, everything. Comes to $52,400 for the entire project. Now, we still, remaining in the Perry Hill Church account, there is a balance of $38,208 and change. Maybe a little bit more with interest. I haven't got that updated. So what we're asking for is the difference, which would be $14,191.57. That would cover the project. I actually, if you want to see, I actually brought the engineer's plan.
You're well equipped, I'll give you
Tell
that.
me about
I have worked very hard on
I can
this
see you
project.
have.
I've been working on this project for many
I
years.
appreciate that.
2011,
Oh, man.
okay. This is, but it would include all of the reinforcing underneath the floor.
Now, what is it called, warped now?
Well,
Or
the
unsafe?
engineer said it was soft,
So it's unsafe?
so it's unsafe
Yeah.
to put 100 people or more in there.
Yeah.
No,
Well, okay, well, I think it's a safety issue, it's something we should
it
probably...
really,
Yeah.
I mean, that is a beautiful building.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably
You know.
something should get done right away.
Yeah.
How many people go in there, Pauline?
Right now, I've
Before,
got,
yeah.
well, I don't know, I never did find out exactly how many people could hold. I was told like 100,
But
125.
how many people in the past have visited the church per year?
It's been closed for too many years.
Yeah, it's been close for a
I
long
can't
time.
answer that question, I don't know.
So it's a safety issue for the building,
It's a
not
safety
for
issue.
the people, anybody going into it.
Right, because right now, I'm about the only one that has a key
Mm-hmm.
to that building. So we go in there to check on it, but
So I guess what's the long-term plan for the building?
Yeah,
what I would like to see, I would like to see it reopen as a church.
Sure.
It could also be used as many things, like with the church in New Bedford that they're rehabbing.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the theater group.
Sure.
Yeah, I think
So
so. That's
this-
the community. I
uh,
love that.
Let
Where-
me,
Okay.
what's the, I mean, the floor is no good, what, the rest of the building you feel is adequate,
There's no-
above
there's no
adequate?
bathroom.
Let's put it this way, the exterior of the building, it has a new roof, all the windows have been refurbished, siding's been done, the doors, new doors. The exterior of the building was all covered by money I've gotten through CPC,
Sure.
okay? It does need a bathroom.
Yeah.
If I could get away with a porta-john, I'd be happy.
It needs water and a bathroom
Water
before
and bathroom.
it can be used
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give
for the public.
Sure.
At
And
all,
there's-
even just as a museum type church, can you use?
Still
just,
needs,
Nothing?
Still needs running water in the bathroom.
We need a running water in the
yeah, you
bathroom.
need running water, you need a bathroom.
Running, water is in the
And you need
street.
to make sure it's
Oh, there's,
accessible.
that's good.
Accessible to,
The area that you're using as a bathroom is accessible.
Handicap
Yes.
accessible.
It's not just a water closet.
Right.
It's
Sure.
a handicap
Go in there,
accessible
then it's worth
bathroom.
it to put the
Yeah,
floor
because
in.
there is a room
So they
in
put
there
that
that
money
I
out
thought
into
we
a
could
bathroom
use as a
then.
bathroom, but it's a little too
Goes towards
small.
the floor.
So it's probably something that's gonna have to be
Yeah.
off the back
so
with a
Paul-
handicap bathroom.
So Pauline, this would be step one to doing the inside, and then you would go forward with the bathroom and whatever.
We've got, yeah, a lot
You
of work
have
ahead
to
of
do
us.
that, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, would have to have a bath, it would have to have some kind of heat.
Mhm.
The water is in the street, and I believe gas is also available in the street, like for heat.
I don't know.
No,
Yeah, so I guess my concern would be if the public can't use it, then it doesn't need a floor until there's a bathroom that the public can actually get in to use. So is it feasible to start looking at the available balance that you have to put that towards the bathroom and making it so that you can get in and then doing the
Bathroom
floor?
project would be 6-figure.
No, I'm not saying,
Oh,
right,
yeah.
but I'm just saying, like, you have the money there to put more money into a floor, and then it can't get used anyway, because you don't have water, you don't have a bathroom to use it, then nobody can go in.
Do you have an engineering report on whether the floor is falling in or not?
it was just, this is a plan that the engineer had made.
Yeah,
It
but
was
that's to
basically
rehab it.
To rehab the floor.
But you said it was soft, so it's falling in?
No, it's not falling in. You can walk all the way around the building. There's only one area in the corner that there's a board missing. So that corner was soft. That all goes back to when the roof
Yeah.
had fallen in with the rainstorm, and we had squirrels and everything else living
Oh.
inside, so.
Has the building inspector been in there? Has the building inspector inspected that?
Oh, yeah, the building inspector was very much involved with this.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it seems like you've had a good bit of other work done. I see that it looks like there were 2 Eagle Scout projects
Yes.
involved. So the
Yes.
pews had been stained and repainted.
Yeah.
And then it says here, replaced all the flooring at the front of the church. So
What?
is that just in the entryway, or is that in
No,
the
that's
main,
in the front where the altar would be.
where the altar would be?
Yes, the Eagle Scout put a beautiful, like, red cedar flooring in.
Mhm.
So that was a good project too. The only thing is that I've had, to get a different opinion, I brought teachers in from Old Colony,
Sure.
Yeah.
and we had the electrician, I forgot what the other 2 gentlemen did, but they're all involved with building. They looked through the building, they walked through, and they said, we can add the bathroom for you, that's not a problem. You know, they can do different projects, but until the floor gets done, can't do anything else. So we're at a standstill right now unless we get the floor done. That would be the first step. Then Old Colony could help us out with, you know, adding
Is the floor is not in danger of falling in?
on. No,
Then we could wait till this spring and maybe get an evaluation from the new building inspector, whoever that is,
Yeah.
and see, and bring Aaron down from Old Colony, his people, and put it together as a package. So if we could hold on this while we put the people together, that might be better. If there's no danger of it falling in.
no.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not a structural safety issue, and we have probably years to go on this. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's quite a bit yet to do.
Oh, yes, there's quite a bit still to do.
Yeah, yeah. So, especially with the, I mean, it's a fairly sizable outlay. I think it might not be a bad idea to table it then.
I agree.
Yeah. But a great project.
We'll get it piece by piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just tough if it can't get used.
And
It's,
if they have a meeting coming up in a month, 2 months, 3 months, if we could get some more information, Pauline, that might help them,
Yes.
help you to develop a plan, and we look at the budget monies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, do we have a motion then to table that? Do we need a motion to table it?
I would make that motion. Yeah.
Second it.
All right, all approved?
Aye.
All right, we're gonna need more information on that one, but
Okay.
the other ones will go forward.
So do the
Fence, we're gonna have to wait for the DPW to see.
Yeah, like I said,
When
if they
they
get that done
schedule it.
for us, then put up the fence, easy part.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
So do
All in
you
favor?
think I should
Aye.
Aye.
get in touch with the teachers?
All right.